Hey guys, I'm Jax, and this is my spoiler review for the first season of 1899. It's a confusing show. Is it a masterpiece or a mess? I think it's maybe both. 1899 feels like The Matrix meets Westworld meets Lost with a little bit of a sprinkling of Total Recall, but all of those things are painted on this big canvas by the creators of Dark. And let's be honest, that's an absolute wild concoction. You put all those shows in there and you mix it up and you throw them on a big old steamboat from 1899, you're gonna have a time. And oh boy, did I have a time. I love this series. It was so wild and insane. I do think some stuff towards the end makes me go, I'm sorry, what? And I kind of have a feeling that I was enjoying where we were going towards the end, that I feel like this as a one and done season with, you know, a couple of elements changed towards the end would have been a really satisfying arc and conclusion to everything. But at the end, they essentially pick up the table of Monopoly and they flip it, but then it flips and it spins to the other side and there's another board game. It's not that we've just stopped playing Monopoly because I've lost and I'm getting angry that I'm getting bankrupt. I flip the table and it lands on the other side and it's like, now we're playing the game of life. And it's like, well, that's just a completely different game. I feel like maybe make another series, a different series, maybe? Overall, I had an absolute blast watching this first season. There were some really strong moments and I just enjoyed it all so thoroughly, just trying to piece it all together and figure it all out. And I think I had more fun watching the earlier episodes, and then by the end of like episode 6, 7, round the end, when they're all like, hey, it's a simulation. It's just The Matrix. Because the show was so heavily relying on the mysteries and the kind of unknown of it all, I found that kind of more engaging and interesting. And then by the end, I was still very, very invested, but it was kind of more on an emotional level because at first I just loved all these wild, insane things happening. Like we're on an old-timey steamy boat, but this little mysterious boy has a bug and the little green bug, it just like knows where to go. Like at one point, it seems to be able to see the future and know where people are coming from around corners. And I'm like, I need to know about this bug. Is this bug from the future? Can this bug see the future? Is this bug like a person from the future who's come back and he's time traveled into a little bug form? Is it the boy from the future so he knows what we're going to do because I've already done it, but now I'm in bug form? It's just like, I had so many questions. And then when it's revealed the answer, it's like, actually, the bug's just a thing from like the real world. And its name is Alfred. He's just like, I want to keep this bug in a cage. And she's like, don't keep it in a prison. You wouldn't like to be kept in a prison. And it's like, ha ha ha, because you've kept him in a prison in this simulation. And he's like, but how would I see it grow? And she's like, well, sometimes you can't see things growing. Like, okay, so the bug isn't from the future or anything crazy like that. The bug's a metaphor, the symbolism. You know, all that tasty, filmy stuff. I was so intrigued and mystified by all the triangles we saw everywhere. Like, what are the ladies? She's got the triangles on her earlobes. I'm like, she knows more than she's letting on. The carpet, it's got triangles everywhere. The hidden passageways, but they're all tiled and stuff. Like, there was so many things where I'm like, what is this bloody ship company? Who's this British guy who bought this ship company? Like, what is going on? Is this some kind of Bermuda Triangle thing? Is this some kind of thing where they're putting them out there and just doing this and that? And I had so many thoughts and theories, and then it's all like, why? It's just a simulation. So I don't know. I guess the simulation was lazy. And they're like, what do we put on the carpet? And they're like, I don't know, just make it triangles or whatever. What do we put on just make it a triangle. Let's just go with a triangle theme for everything. And not to say the simulation thing wasn't like kind of a cool reveal, but it did for me feel like, okay, so this is a simulation, so we're not doing spooks and supernatural thingies. What's the point? And then they started revealing the point, and I'm like, oh my god, so her son has died. Like, I feel like I clued on just a bit before they fully revealed it. It's like her son has died, so she's trapped him in this simulation, trapped herself in this simulation, so she can kind of live with him. But by doing that, she doesn't know who he is. So it would make more sense if they were going to trap themselves in a simulation to trap them, and she would be on the boat being like, this is my son, Elliot. We're on our quest to America. Oh, I'm going to be a doctor, and oh, he's definitely alive and not dead, and I love him and he loves me. Whereas no, she's on the boat and has a memory that she can't have kids. But then he's like a mysterious boy on another boat and he comes in? Or was he like separate? Was the whole thing where the father comes in, the spooky, sinister man who's like, oh, I'm creeping by your door. And I'm like, oh, he's gonna be evil. Twist, actually, husband. And I think the twist of him being the husband and the boy being the son worked really like kind of richly for me because they were just so creepy and I thought they were at odds with each other. I was kind of like, hey, they look very similar. Is he going to be little boy from the future or something like that? Or is he going to be the boy's father or the boy's brother or something like that? And then the reveal that they are actually all related in one big family, I thought was like really kind of powerful. And then it made all the simulation stuff make a lot more sense kind of emotionally. Because it's like, oh, okay, we're doing this big, crazy simulation, wild thing. But it's all rooted in the character of this woman grieving and not able to kind of, you know, come past that trauma and, you know, try and move on. She'll never forget it, but she's not moving on properly. And she's trying to trap herself in a simulation with this boy. And I found that really like thematically rich and just kind of sad and powerful and heartbreaking. And, you know, it's made my dead old cold heart beat maybe twice. And I like how that theme kind of carried over through all our main characters and they're all kind of trying to escape something horrible or dark or sinister from their past. And even though it does feel very reminiscent of Lost, I think this did a really good job of kind of fleshing out the characters where even though things felt a bit derivative of other properties that I think do everything kind of better, I was so engaged by kind of the combination of all the things where it's like Lost, it's like Westworld. Is this reality? Have you ever questioned your reality? And all these things, but all sorts of the Matrix and all those things. I feel like just setting it on an old-timey boat, that aesthetic alone, I'm like, well, I'm in. Throughout the series, we get little glimmers of her father, Qyburn from Game of Thrones, or that's Guy from Andor, but I keep calling him Qyburn from Game of Thrones in Andor as well, so let's just call him Qyburn. So Papa Qyburn, he's all like scary and spooky, and he kind of feels like he's the architect from Matrix 2, where he's all like, ergo, argo, something, something, I'm the architect of this crazy simulation, and you're all trapped here, you're in an endless loop, sinister, sinister. Words or whatever, monologue. But I really did love the reveal that actually no, he's trying to like get her to realize what is going on and the husband is just trying to keep her safe. And like, I don't know, I thought that was all really interesting how that was kind of slowly building and like, he seems like he's the villain, but then maybe, you know, the girl who looks like Eowyn from Lord of the Rings, but not her, the main character lady. Let's just call her main character lady. Her name's here. I should have remembered her name. It appears like she's the villain and she's created this construct and all these things. But then right at the end, her husband's like, hey, so we've gone through this whole thing. Everything feels like it's going to be richly and satisfyingly wrapped up. You're either going to choose to stay in the simulation forever or break out free and you're going to come past your trauma and try and move on. Oh, but actually your brother, remember how we keep talking about your brother? Your brother is actually controlling all of this, and this is way bigger than you've ever possibly imagined. And oh, this is just season 1 and season 2. Actually, we're in space. I'm not sure I like this end. Like just emotionally and kind of like, and just like a visceral, like, like first up, I was like, okay, I don't think we need to go this big. And yes, the actual moment itself where he's like, hello, sister, bloody welcome to the reality. I hope your coffee sets in before reality sets in. I'm like, from the book, the pages of the logbook, it's all connected, bumpity-bo. But it just feels like, okay, so they're on like some kind of voyage. The ship's called Prometheus. So they're on some kind of voyage. Earth has been destroyed. I guess Earth was that with all the jaggedy rocks that looked like evil Fortress of Solitude looking spiky black, spiky ice thingies. So Earth, I guess, was maybe that, and it died, and they're all on a voyage, and they're all like, ooh, life sucks. Let's all jump in a Matrix. And I don't know. I just feel like if you're going to jump in a Matrix when you've got that kind of sci-fi technology, why live on a steamboat in the 1899s? Why not just like do what the Matrix did and live in the greatest year of all time, 1999? Maybe they typed in 1999. They're like, this will be sweet. You know, we'll have flip phones. We'll have Sopranos to watch on HBO. And then someone accidentally clicked 8. It is very close to 9. So they clicked 8 and then they all got on a steamboat. And one of them's like, I clicked the wrong button. I think this doesn't feel like 1999 The Matrix. It's for one, not green, and two, we're on a steamboat in the middle of the ocean and there's this horrifying fog and this is spooky and scary, and where is the Wi-Fi? There's no Wi-Fi! How am I gonna watch cooking videos and funny little dances on TikTok? This is literally a nightmare. So I do understand with the big twist at the end where it's like, I understand why they would want to be in like this, you know, Matrix simulation, and I don't know, she's kind of constructed one where her son is in there, but then it's just kind of like, so what was her father doing? Like, it appeared like she was maybe controlling everything, but it appears her brother is controlling everything. I don't know. It just felt a bit like, oh, by the end of that finale, it was all building up and like, she created this. It's her fault. She's the creator. All these things. Her father is trying to get her out. Her son is actually dead and stuck in the simulation. All these things. And the husband is just trying to like keep her safe and not break out. I don't know. It felt like it was all working together. And then this final twist feels like they're like, oh, but we want to do some crazy twist like at the end of season 1 of Dark where it goes, and now flip the table and we're doing a different series. And that really did kind of irk me with Dark as well. It was like, oh, I thought we were doing this. Season 2 does do a really good job of essentially doing something totally different, but still feeling in the world. So I do have faith because Dark is so good and each season does feel really unique, but it's part of this big cohesive whole. So I'm hoping this will have that same effect, but the idea of them being on a big spaceship at the end just makes me go, I don't know. It also reminds me of Westworld at the end of season 2 where I'm like, okay, and season 3 is just like a totally different show. It just feels like, oh, I really like the idea of being on this boat, and it's moody, atmospheric, there's some sci-fi things going on, maybe supernatural, it's a bit horror, it's a bit this, it's a bit that, but it was all set on this boat, and now it's like, why were we even on a boat? Like, what was going on there? Like, what was the point of it being on a boat, rather than we've got to make it feel unique and different, and that's just a cool setting. It just feels a bit like, oh, I just feel like there are kind of big questions and big thoughts going on, but I feel like maybe it all comes down to like, we just wanted a big twist at the end. I just can't see myself being invested in a series where like, we're on a spaceship and we've got to get to New Earth, and maybe let's jump into the Matrix simulation for a bit, and you know, like Westworld later seasons where they're like, we're doing this now, but also maybe for half an episode, let's jump back into Westworld, but now it's the swinging 30s, the roaring 30s, roaring 20s. It's a different setting than Westworld, it's Samurai World or whatever, you know, it's like, okay. That being said, some series can adapt and change. Like, I didn't like Westworld changing to a different series in season 3, but season 4 surprised me, and I'm like, okay, this has completely lost its mind in the best way now, and 3 was just a weird transition. Dark, as I said, 1, 2, 3, completely different shows essentially, but it feels really cohesive and it really works, and they're kind of different things. Lost does that. The first 3 seasons are one thing, the last 3 is something completely different, and unlike most people, that is probably my favorite show, and I love the ending, or like, I love most of the end parts, and it does kind of, you know, I love the characters so much, they can go through just kind of madness, sci-fi insanity, and I'll be on board. So I'm hoping this will be like that, because I really did love a lot of the characters, particularly the captain character and our main character, Mother Lady. I'm the creator, I'm Neo! But maybe not, maybe her brother's Neo, no, but I guess he'd be the architect, but her father's not the architect. My brain hurts! Thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment below. I'd love to know what everyone thought of 1899.